You just met someone. They told you their name, you smiled, you nodded, you shook their hand, and now, 5 seconds later, it's gone. Completely gone. You're standing there pretending like you know what to call them, and your brain is just blank. Sound familiar? Yeah, you're not alone. And no, you don't have early onset Alzheimer's. You're not rude, you're not stupid. There's actually real science behind why this happens. And today, I'm going to walk you through 9 reasons your brain dumps someone's name the second you hear it. Let's get into it. Reason number 1. Your brain is busy. Like, really busy. Think about what's actually happening the moment you meet someone new. You're processing their face, their expression, their body language, the tone of their voice, what they're wearing, whether they seem friendly or awkward. You're also managing your own behavior. Am I making enough eye contact? Is my handshake too firm? Do I look weird right now? All of this is happening in a matter of seconds, and somewhere in the middle of that storm, someone says, "Hey, I'm Marcus." Your brain hears it, but it doesn't prioritize it, because it's dealing with a flood of other information at the same time. Psychologists call this cognitive load. Your working memory, which is the part of your brain that holds information temporarily, has a very limited capacity. Research by George Miller back in the 1950s suggested that we can hold roughly 7 items in our working memory at once. Some newer studies say it might be even less, maybe 3 or 4. So when you're in a moment of social overload, your brain has to make choices about what to keep and what to toss. And unfortunately, the name is often the first thing to go. Not because it's unimportant, but because in that moment, your brain is triaging. It's trying to figure out who this person is, whether they're safe, whether they're interesting. The name, that's just a label, and labels come last. Reason number 2, you didn't build an emotional hook. Here's something interesting. Your brain doesn't store information in isolation. It stores it in networks. When something is connected to an emotion, a memory, or a vivid image, it sticks. When it's floating on its own with no context, it fades. And that's the problem with names. When someone says, "I'm Sarah," that word, Sarah, has no emotional weight for you yet. It's not tied to a story. It's not connected to anything meaningful in your brain. It's just a sound. Neuroscientist Dr. Leela Davachi from Columbia University has studied how the brain encodes memories, and her research shows that emotional relevance plays a massive role in what we remember. If the name Sarah were tied to a dramatic event, a funny moment, or a deep personal connection, you'd remember it easily. But in a first introduction, it's raw data, no flavor, no anchor, and the brain doesn't waste storage on things that don't feel important yet. Reason number 3. You're too focused on the conversation. This one might surprise you. Sometimes you forget names not because you're distracted, but because you're actually paying really close attention just to the wrong thing. You're listening to what the person is saying. You're engaged. You're thinking about how to respond. And in doing that, your brain shifts its focus from surface-level information, like a name, to deeper content, like meaning, ideas, and connection. There's actually a concept in psychology called attentional bottleneck. Your brain can only consciously attend to one stream of information at a time. So if you're genuinely interested in what someone is telling you, the name gets filtered out. It's not that you didn't care about it, it's that your brain decided the substance of the conversation mattered more. And honestly, that says something good about you. It means you're actually listening. You're just not great at catching the label. Reason number 4. Your visual memory is stronger than your verbal memory. Here's a question. Have you ever seen someone and immediately thought, "I know that face," but had absolutely no idea what their name was? That's because your brain processes faces and names through completely different systems. Faces are handled by the fusiform face area, a specialized region in your brain that's been recognizing faces since you were a baby. It's fast, it's automatic, it barely takes effort. Names, on the other hand, are arbitrary. They're verbal labels. There's no logical connection between a face and a name. The name David doesn't look like anything. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just a word someone assigned. And your brain has a much harder time encoding arbitrary information than it does encoding visual patterns. A study published in the journal Memory and Cognition found that people are significantly better at recognizing faces than recalling names, even after the same amount of exposure. So if you remember someone's face but not their name, that's not a flaw. That's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Reason number 5. Social anxiety is blocking your memory. Let's talk about stress for a second. When you're in a social situation, especially one where you feel pressure to make a good impression, your nervous system kicks into gear. Your sympathetic nervous system activates, your heart rate goes up, your palms might sweat, and your brain shifts into a mode that prioritizes survival over memory. This isn't dramatic. It doesn't mean you're having a panic attack. It just means your body's mildly stressed, and that's enough to interfere with how your brain encodes new information. The stress hormone cortisol, when elevated even slightly, can impair the function of the hippocampus, which is the brain region most responsible for forming new memories. So if you feel even a little nervous when meeting someone new, your brain is literally less capable of storing their name in that moment. It's not a personality flaw, it's biology. Reason number 6, you didn't repeat the name. This is probably the simplest reason on this list, and also the most fixable. When someone tells you their name, most of us just nod and move on. We don't say it back, we don't use it in the next sentence, and because of that, it never moves from short-term memory into something more lasting. There's a well-known memory technique called the spacing effect. It basically says that repeating information at intervals helps lock it into your long-term memory. But here's the thing. Most people don't do this with names because it feels weird. Saying, "Nice to meet you, Marcus," right after someone introduces themselves can feel forced or overly formal. So we skip it, and the name disappears. Dale Carnegie, who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People, said that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. He was right, and using someone's name early in a conversation isn't just a memory trick. It signals respect, it signals attention. But most of us are too self-conscious to do it, and that's why we forget. Reason number 7, your brain is predicting whether this matters. Your brain is constantly making predictions about what information will be useful in the future. It's running a background algorithm, asking, will I need this again? And if the answer seems like no, it deprioritizes storage. This is actually an adaptive feature. If your brain stored every single piece of information equally, you'd be overwhelmed, so it filters. And in a brief social interaction, especially with someone you may never see again, your brain often categorizes their name as low-priority data. This isn't you being dismissive, it's your brain being efficient. Research on predictive coding in neuroscience supports this idea. The brain allocates resources based on anticipated future relevance. If you meet someone on a one-time event, your brain is less likely to encode their name than if you meet someone on your first day at a new job. Context matters, and your brain is always reading context, even when you're not aware of it. Reason number 8, you connect identity to behavior, not names. Think about someone you know well. When you think of them, what comes to mind first? Is it their name, or is it the way they laugh, the way they tell stories, how they made you feel the last time you were together? For most of us, identity is built on behavior, not labels. And this actually makes a lot of sense from a psychological perspective. Behavioral information is rich. It tells you about someone's personality, their values, their emotional patterns. A name tells you almost nothing. So when you meet someone and later remember that they were funny or kind or intense, but can't remember their name, it's because your brain encoded what it considered most valuable. Psychologist Dan McAdams, known for his work on narrative identity, argues that we understand people through their stories and actions, not through their labels. Your brain is wired to build identity from experience, not from a single word. Reason number 9, the name doesn't carry cultural weight for you. Here's the last piece of the puzzle. In many cultures, names carry deep significance. They're tied to ancestry, religion, meaning, and tradition. But in everyday modern life, especially in fast-paced urban environments, names have become more functional than symbolic. They're identifiers, tags. And when something feels like just a tag, your brain treats it that way. If a name has no cultural resonance for you, no personal meaning, no connection to your own experience, it's just a sound. And your brain doesn't have much to anchor a meaningless sound to. Compare that to a nickname someone earns, or a name that reminds you of someone you already know. Those names stick because they carry associations. The raw, unfamiliar name of a stranger, it's floating in space. And floating things drift away. So here's the bottom line. If you forget people's names, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain is doing what it's designed to do. It's prioritizing emotion over labels, depth over surface, connection over formality. You're probably someone who listens more than you realize, someone who reads people's energy and behavior before their business card. And that's actually a strength. Now, does it sometimes make things awkward? Absolutely. You might stumble in professional settings or feel embarrassed at a party. But the fix isn't about changing how your brain works. It's about adding a few small habits. Repeat the name when you hear it. Tie it to something visual or emotional. Write it down if you need to. These tiny steps can make a real difference without fighting your brain's natural wiring. Remember, your memory isn't broken, it's just selective. And understanding how it works is the first step to working with it instead of against it. If this video made something click for you, drop a comment and tell me, what's the most embarrassing time you forgot someone's name? I want to hear your stories. Hit that like button if you learned something new and subscribe if you want more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.